So since I am a 95 baby, this movie felt very personal to me, like any other Toy Story film, but this one in particular, it started with throwing it back to 1995. It literally said 1995 on screen. And something just hit my heart, made me so emotional. Hey guys, welcome back to Candid Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Today, I will be reviewing Lightyear, and I am so excited for everyone to watch this. A huge shout out to Disney. Thank you so much for the opportunity to watch this ahead of time and to be able to review it and watch it in IMAX, which was a great experience. So thank you guys so much. Of course, I am a massive Pixar fan. And obviously, you can see that I'm wearing my Incredibles t-shirt, and I actually wore my Incredibles hat to this screening. So that was a lot of fun to kind of to feel like a kid again. And I think that's the importance of any Pixar film, especially with new stories or old stories that kind of reinvent what we know. And I think that Lightyear kind of does that. First and foremost, Pixar has developed such a beautiful animation style that feels lifelike. And in the case of Lightyear, it felt different than other Pixar films. It felt like I was watching, a sci-fi space adventure, and that's great. And I think it comes down to the way that it was filmed. And I think watching it in IMAX just gave it a more immersive experience. So I highly recommend watching this in IMAX. Any movie is better on the big screen. That's it. And unfortunately, before Lightyear, we had a slew of Pixar films like Soul, Luca, and Turning Red that should have been on that IMAX screen. So it kind of breaks my heart because those three films were so beautiful in their own way, and it would have been like fantastic to see on the big screen. But we have Lightyear. So since I am a 95 baby, this movie felt very personal to me, like any other Toy Story film. But this one in particular, it started with throwing it back to 1995. It literally said 1995 on screen. And something just hit my heart, made me so emotional from the beginning of this because it's a Toy Story film. You don't really understand that wave of nostalgia unless you actually grew up with Toy Story. That movie is now going to be 27 years old. And to have a Buzz Lightyear film come out years later to preface what the toy of Buzz Lightyear is, I think was just a really nice touch from Pixar to do it. It was the right time to do it. The storyline for Lightyear is very generic. I think that's where this falters. It's not the best Pixar film. I don't think that it is. It's a nice addition to the Toy Story franchise. And, we get to see where Buzz Lightyear started because Buzz Lightyear was a character in a movie. This is that movie. So that's awesome. And the toy is based off of this Buzz Lightyear. So I think that that's what works well in this case. So Buzz at the beginning of this film, he's very, headstrong. He's like, I need to be a space ranger. And he thinks that being a space ranger defines who he is. And then as the film progresses, he understands that it's just a title and you are your own person with your own, dreams and what you want out of life. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, space ranger all the time. So I think that he learns that. And what was really impressive in the writing, just for the character development, again, the story's not that strong, but with the character development, it kind of mirrors the toy version of Buzz in the first Toy Story. So I thought that was really special that they kind of incorporated it. Of course, they have differences, but it kind of unraveled in the same way. So that parallel was really cool to see. Of course, there are some lines, some references that made me laugh, and it just warmed my heart too. So anything to, bring back the Toy Story era of how big that was when it came out, it just hits. It hits for the 90s kids a bit more because we grew up with that. So I love Buzz's storyline. I love that Buzz and Alicia Hawthorne, who's voiced by Uzo Aduba. I'm going to get to Chris Evans after, but I love Buzz and Alicia Hawthorne's friendship. I think that they complemented each other, where Alicia's more like, we need to live life. We need to live in this moment, and we need to grow with each other, especially as Space Rangers. We need to make the title of Space Ranger great again, type of thing. So Alicia is someone who little girls can definitely look up to. She was so cool, was making fun of Buzz, and I loved her. I really did love her character in this. That dynamic is great. And in true Pixar fashion, without spoiling it, within seconds, you get to see their friendship dynamic. And within a single montage, you get to see how important they are to each other. And I just really love how Pixar normally just utilizes time incredibly well when developing these characters and developing character relationships. And I think that is the strength that they have. And they make you have that emotional connection. Like Alicia Hawthorne is the heart of the entire movie. It's not even Buzz. It's Alicia Hawthorne. And I really love that. Fast forward, we get to see her granddaughter, Izzy Hawthorne, who's voiced by the lovely Kiki Palmer. I thought she did an incredible job, and she complimented Chris Evans as Buzz too. So I really enjoyed that. And they really worked off each other. I love that the characters are so different. Like Buzz is really old, and then Izzy comes in and she's like the hip new version of Hawthorne, but she's different. And then like Izzy's storyline, she has to deal with legacy and her becoming exactly like her grandmother, but she's a completely different person. So again, it's all about self-discovery, appreciation for the past, but also creating your own path while standing on the shoulders of those who have come before you. And I think that it's a great message in that case. Going back to the storyline, I wanted it to be better. I did. I think it did lag in certain parts. I think this would have been better as a series on Disney Plus instead of a movie. I think that would have been a really nice touch, because we're getting backstories of all these other characters, mind you, in the MCU. I understand that obviously in Star Wars, but I think that Buzz would have benefited from a series on Disney Plus just because of the way that they structured this. I understand that Buzz had to, go to space and try to get out of the location that they were in because they were marooned on this planet by accident. And he's trying to get out of there. So there are obstacles that he has to face, but it felt like the obstacles ran long for the second half of the film. If it wasn't like funny, especially with like little Socks, that cat is freaking adorable and everyone's going to love him. If it wasn't for Socks and like the supporting cast of characters, I think that this would have felt longer than it already was. I didn't dislike the movie. I think it's good. And I think that the nostalgia of who the character is really carries it. I think that Chris Evans voicing Buzz Lightyear adds another layer to the character. And I know that everyone's like, but Tim Allen. It's like, yeah, Tim Allen was great. The dude was my childhood. Like you hear Tim Allen, you hear Tom Hanks. That's like Woody and Buzz all day, every day. But I think that knowing who Evans is and absolutely loving him as a person, because he is so incredibly likable and genuine, and knowing that like we've had him for like the past decade as Captain America, and we've gotten to know him on these press tours and all these interviews. We know him as a person and he's so likable. And then you add to a very iconic character in Buzz Lightyear. And it was just a weird mixture of like just being comfortable, like at ease. Like when I was listening to Evans, he was so expressive, really into it, delivered those lines. And it kind of took me out a bit because it was like me hearing Chris Evans and like I couldn't envision him saying the lines and then taking me back into him as a character as Buzz. So it was a weird watching experience, especially when Buzz was talking to like the secondary characters and his team, his crew of misfits. Basically, I just felt at ease, like so comfortable having him there. And it was just an oddly like comforting movie knowing that Chris Evans was voicing Buzz Lightyear. It just felt right. It felt like perfect casting. And he was a captain, he's a space ranger. So he kind of brought in the little touch of Steve Rogers in there too. So I thought it was just great casting, just so great. I thought he was wonderful in this. In regards to the animation, the visuals, it's like you're there with Buzz Lightyear. They really put you in that seat, in that perspective. And that's why this worked. Like, even if the storyline was very generic and basic and did drag a bit, the characters were pretty strong. And I loved just being in space with them. It was really great. There were moments when I felt like I was watching Gravity, like just the scale of it and the scale of space and how vast it is. I thought they did a great job with that. I also felt like they kind of drew from Interstellar, and that's where the like emotional parts kick in. Like, it was just really something that I felt at times, and especially in the first half, it stung. It did. And I really love that they did that. And you could tell that they were inspired by those two films in particular. So the visuals really worked as well. Lightyear is great for the franchise. It's a good movie. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on my letterbox, but now the more that I'm talking about it, the story did hinder the experience. Even though I was laughing and I was getting emotional, it did drag at parts. So I may drop that to a 3.5 out of 5. Again, it's not a bad film. It's not boring. It's just how much you love the Toy Story franchise. I think that's what it comes down to, because it does heavily lean on the franchise and what they did in the first film for Buzz Lightyear. But I think that if you are a Toy Story fan, if you're a Buzz Lightyear fan, then you're really going to like this. If you're not in that, that fan base really that you love Toy Story, then I think this is going to be a bit difficult for you to sit through, and you may want to wait for Disney Plus. But for me, visually, and if you just want a nice, cool space adventure this Father's Day weekend, then I would definitely take the family to go watch Lightyear in IMAX, because it's an animated film in IMAX. Remember that. Turning Red was supposed to be in IMAX, and that kind of broke my heart because it would have looked beautiful on the big screen. But Lightyear is just a different experience, and it feels more immersive when you're watching it on the big screen. It's cute. It's funny. It's emotional. So let me know in the comments below if you think Toy Story is the best Pixar film. I need to know. I need to know in the comments below. Are you guys excited for Lightyear? Let me know in the comments below. If you watched Lightyear already, tell me how you feel about it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.